All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here. Thanks for joining me for another Greenbridge Investing Market Analysis. This is a live stream. So for those of you that are new, please share your symbol or the market that you'd like to see in the chat now. So once I complete my portion of the analysis, which again, I'm going to try to make it as brief as possible so I can spend more time on the chat and answering your questions, then, I'll get to your questions. Okay, so I'll go through the chat here soon. So again, share the symbols with me. Hey, hey HS, good to see you. Tarkus, nice to see you. Hey, Gabriel, thanks for joining me. So now in this session, we're going to talk about the usuals like Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all that. But I also want to go over some of these altcoins because I've been getting a lot of questions about them, and it's now would be a good time to compare them to what's going on with Bitcoin. Okay, so with that being said, let's get started. This is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Now, we're going to begin actually with the alts, and then I'm going to compare them to Bitcoin. But here's the thing. Before I start that, I just want to go over this real quick. Our website. All right, so we offer swing trade signal service. Okay, we are a swing trade signal service. We by text, by email, portfolio management ideas, by text, by email, and we have a chat room where we're sharing updates to our trade ideas and a lot of perspective each day. It's important to understand exactly what it is that we offer because we've been seeing a lot of new people sign up. But if you don't understand exactly what we do, then you may not have the right expectations. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So for our active investor plan, which includes stocks, options, Forex, CFDs, Bitcoin, pretty much a variety of markets, it's $299 for 6 months. Okay, that comes to $50 a month. The yearly plan, it's $399. That comes for the year, right? So that comes to about $33.25 per month. If you look at some competing websites or whatever, or a similar type of service, your average price will be $99 per month or higher, depending on what they offer. And usually the quality of the signals is not as good, although they'll tell you that they're great and blah, 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 and this and that. But if someone's only been at this for like 2 years, that does not count. I'm sorry, but you really should be in this game more than 2 years if you're going to be sharing signals and teaching people how to do this. At least 10 years, okay? So anyway, Dave's is the same situation, right? Except he just has a very specific stock strategy. So people that are only interested in swing trading stocks. Now, another thing I want to mention about this real quick, because Michael, one of our members, brought up a very interesting point, and I want to address it. He was suggesting that perhaps we take our 7-day free trial and make it longer for someone to get a better sense of how our strategies work, because our strategies are not day trade strategies. They could take a few days to play out. They could take weeks to play out, maybe longer. Our portfolio strategies they could go on for years. I mean, our Bitcoin and altcoin portfolio, I mean, that we've been working with that since 2018, okay? So he was suggesting perhaps we make our free trial longer. But here's the thing. If you want to get a good idea of how our strategies work, you just join up as a free member, which most of you are. And as a free member, you get the trade of the week email. That goes out every week. That's every week you're getting a free swing trade. Now, it's in stocks because, we usually the Bitcoin stuff and all that we're going to share with our members. We're not going to send all that stuff out for free. But we pick a stock, right, as you know from the Talking Market Show, and we mail it to everyone. So you get an idea of how our swing trades work. I mean, you see the orders, you have a chance to participate, or you can paper trade, whatever you want to do. But the point is, you get a sense of how our strategy works without having to join us. And that the trade, a lot of our trades of the week do well. Not all of them. Some of them stop out, but more than not have been reaching their targets. And since the reward risk is a positive expectancy, meaning it's greater than 1-to-1 over time, if you follow them, they should get you ahead. Okay, if you follow them precisely. Anyway. All right, so enough of that. I just wanted to make sure there was some clarity there. And again, I want to thank Michael for bringing that up because it's a very interesting point. I love to hear from the perspective of our members or our followers, because sometimes it's hard to see things from your perspective since we have so much going on and we're focused on looking for new trades and this and that, whatever. So it's nice to hear, especially when we're always open to improvements and making your experience better. So again, Michael, thank you for that. All right. Now, let's get into, so I want to talk, before we get into Bitcoin, obviously a lot of people are concerned about this right here, as you can see on the screen, right? And you're going to see a lot of people, especially on websites and stuff, they're going to be saying that this is bearish and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to address that here in a moment. Let's start with the garbage altcoins. Okay, so DOT, USD. Now, this is why I want to bring these up first, is because we see that decent pullback in Bitcoin. Now, the reason, what I'm looking for in these things is relative strength, meaning if Bitcoin pulls back, which it's doing, how do these behave? I don't see a dramatic pullback here in DOT, okay? It's holding this support, what is that, around that 14, high 14s, $15 area. This is actually a good sign, okay, for something like this. No one is selling this thing, basically, is what that means. So if you're a long-term holder of something like this, this is definitely like, hopefully you've lightened up, you've taken some profit. I mean, HS was telling us about, a family member that owns a sizable portion of VET and won't take any profits, right? So it's always a good idea to lock something in. You don't have to lock in a large portion, but so if this thing does have a more dramatic pullback, hey, you can buy those back at a better price anyway. And if there is no dramatic pullback, hey, you're still in. Anyway, the point is, this is relatively strong. So what this means for me is this could become a swing trade candidate, okay? Now, of course, what do we have here technically? Well, look, the trend is bullish. There's no question. It's holding support. Okay, I like to see that. We have a potential inside bar developing now. So we take out this high of 18, basically 18 and a quarter, that would actually be a buy signal. And you can see the targets that I have here on this chart. These are the inflection points. One's at $20, one's at 23, one's at 28. Can DOT get up there? Look, I don't make predictions. What I do, because I have some people send me messages on TradingView sometimes, and I don't always get to answer them. I mean, I try to answer them as much as I can. Anyway, people ask me questions like, so where do you think Bitcoin's going to go to, 15,000 from here? Or do you think this is going to go to here from here? And my honest answer is I don't know. I let the market give me information, and then I adjust as I get new information. Right now, based on what I'm seeing here on DOT, relative to what's going on to Bitcoin, DOT is acting relatively strong. So this is a good candidate for a swing trade, especially since these things are in play. Normally, I wouldn't bother with these altcoins, but they're in play and there's potential here, right? So this is one for the radar. If I see that breakout, perhaps I'll send something out on that, to our members. But I'm liking that one. Okay, another one, ATOM. Okay, hold on, ATOM USD. Let me get the right symbol here. Okay, and this is on Coinbase. Now look at this. This is why I'm bringing these up first before I go over Bitcoin. Now, this one is pulling back, okay, and we know that Bitcoin's pulling back. So again, my question is relative strength. How is it performing relative to Bitcoin? Well, it's pulling back, right, along with Bitcoin. All right, fine. That means it seems to be acting in line, which means when Bitcoin finds support and turns, perhaps a buy signal will develop here. And that can also be a worthwhile swing trade. Now, I'm not talking about investments here. Investing, or position trades or inventory management is a different strategy. Okay, so it's not to be confused. You cannot mix the two. You have to have a different mindset and a different set of rules for both types. Now, many people, they don't want to be bothered with the technical stuff. They just want to invest and forget about it, right? Okay, I understand. But even then, you should have some basic rules to go by. And those rules are really mostly involve risk, nothing else, okay? As HS pointed out, right? He said his brother knows nothing about price action, right? Nothing about charts, and he's got a sizable profit. Well, like I was explaining, that's a lottery ticket, okay? But it does help to at least have some sense of risk management if you don't want to pay attention to charts. Anyway, the point is this. Something like Atom, if this thing turns into a swing trade, meaning you get the inside bar, takes it out, or you get the higher low and all that, okay, great. I would expect other coins that are in line with Bitcoin to be doing the same thing. Now, supports on this thing. You have support at what, basically $7. So if you can get a reversal around $7, that would be much more compelling than where it is right now, which is 763. So it's only 50 cents lower. It's not a big deal. But that would be a much higher probability area. Of course, I would be expecting Bitcoin to be doing something similar since they should be moving in line. I keep emphasizing Bitcoin, or at least Ethereum, one of them, because they are the leaders, right? And occasionally these coins do their own thing. We've been seeing some of that more and more as the speculative froth gets to new heights. But we can't rely on that, okay? These things typically follow Bitcoin, and that's the relationship that seems to be consistent. It's been consistent for a long time. And until something dramatic changes, I will continue to believe in that relationship. Now, so we're looking at levels here, right? Now, here's another one that may not be on everyone's radar. This was pointed out to me, one called Frontier. Okay, this Frontier against Tether. What I don't like about some of these, right? This is obviously a newer coin. This is on Poloniex. If the coin is not like on Coinbase or Binance, and I have to open an account, or I got to move money to this one and that one, and that's, you know what? Like some people, if that's all you do, and you have the time for that, that's cool. But it's got to be, I got enough stuff on my plate, right? Remember, I'm trading stocks. I'm looking at options. I'm looking at CFDs. I'm looking at all kinds of stuff. I can't be sitting there, oh, I got to open an account with Poloniex now. Oh, but it only takes 5 minutes. Yeah, but now I got to send the money over there. Like, it's just too cumbersome, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, so it's not worth it to chase some stupid altcoins that are a gamble. Okay, now again, these are a lottery ticket. So Frontier, I understand has some pretty decent potential. Now look how it's been behaving. Okay, we got the higher low in place. Had this breakout over here. So what do you do with something like this? Do you buy this thing now? I wouldn't buy Frontier now. Okay, now it doesn't mean it won't continue higher. We've seen some coins just go in a straight line, but the thing is you're playing that musical chairs game when you do something like that. So if you buy it here, what is this thing worth? 66 cents or whatever, something like that. So if let's say you buy $100 worth, okay, that's cool, but it's very possible that this thing can pull back and test this support, which is what is that? 48 cents, basically 50 cent, the 50 cent area. Right, you're much better off getting involved at that point for a swing trade, if that's what you're interested. Remember, a swing trade is for a couple of days, perhaps a few weeks. It's not an investment. I have to keep emphasizing that. As an investment, if you want to play that game, for one, it's a very good idea not to put a lot of money into these things. They are lottery tickets. Some will do good, most of them will not. Now, I can tell you from the previous generation of altcoins, from 2017, a lot of them, they're not really in play anymore. I mean, just real quick, right? Look, IOTA has been kind of moving around a bit, but compared to where it was, IOTA was at $4, okay? And this thing now is struggling to push 68 cents. That sucks, okay? From $4 to 68 cents, and it can't even like do anything spectacular. They all this promise, hey, they had the scaling solution to Bitcoin and all kinds of other great hype. So that's why you can't get sucked into all that good news and all that euphoria and all that stuff that they like to pump, because that's what they have marketing departments for. That's what they do. They know that people like a good story. In order to get you to invest in their coin rather than another coin, they got to tell you a good story. Meanwhile, they have no fundamentals, number one. Number two, they don't have to report anything to anyone. There's no oversight on these things. People seem to equate these things with stocks. Oh, follow the developers. They're pretty good, blah, blah, blah. All you're doing is helping them buy a more expensive car. That's all you're doing. Okay? Stocks are regulated by the SEC if they're not pink sheets. They're regulated by the SEC. Forex is regulated by the CFTC and the NFA. Okay? Options are also regulated. They're going to be derivatives, so that would be the CFTC. Right, so people can't play games. They have to report stuff, especially public companies. They have to report. They have to be transparent. So you can see how they're doing as far as their finances go. You can see how much debt they have. You can see what their sales are like. You can see all that stuff, fundamental comparison if you're going to invest. do they have a dividend or not, right? That kind of stuff. Are they a solid company? Are they a well-known company? Is it Tesla? Is Tesla a bad company? No, they're producing cars, they're changing the world. Okay, that's a different type of company, right? You know what they're up to, you know what they're doing, they're high profile, you get my point. So again, I'm bringing up this garbage coin like IOTA. Another one, let's talk about another one here. Let me think here from an OMG. Okay, say OMG USD. Now look at this one again. No, that's not it. Is that? No, it should be OMSIGO, right? OMG USDT. Let's see. Okay, so look at this. Again, back in August, there was some hype about it, right? Back in August, when it went berserk, it went from like $3 to $10, like in one day practically. And since then, it's been in this range, doing nothing, while Bitcoin went to 40,000. That's a garbage coin. Keep in mind, you don't hear about institutions piling into something like OMG, right? But you hear about Grayscale with Bitcoin. You hear about, what was it? One of those insurance companies investing in Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. That's where the institutions are. If institutions are not investing in these garbage coins, you probably should not be investing in them either. If you want to trade them or you want to speculate and you want to play the lottery ticket game, okay, cool. Just understand, have the right expectations. That's all I'm saying. Don't think you're buying the next Bitcoin because most likely you're not. Okay, that's what gets people into trouble. Anyway, so there were a couple other ones I wanted to show here real quick. So ZIL, USD, right? Here's another one. These have been on people's radars. Now, and I could see why. I mean, look at this move. Okay, that's fine. Look at the consolidation. So again, relative strength. It looks like it's behaving in line with Bitcoin. That's fine. Bitcoin's pulling back. This is pulling back. You're in a consolidation. So trend is bullish. You're in a consolidation. You're looking for supports. You have a support at, what is that? About. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now. 59, almost, yeah, but just in the high 5-cent area. Okay, that's where your support is. That's where your range support is on something like that. That would be a more ideal price to get involved as far as a swing trade goes. And there's no setup anyway. Now, and the other one before I get into this one here, I want to talk about Cardano. You know how many questions I've gotten about this one? Like I said on Talking Markets the other day, someone texted me that I haven't heard from in years. And like I said, he didn't say, hey man, how you doing? How's everything? No, nothing like that. All he said was, how do you feel about altcoins and ADA in particular? I said, man, I'm getting questions on TradingView about ADA. Someone said that they're supposed to basically replace Ethereum or something like that. Okay, so here's the thing. Let's look at the chart. Now, actually, this isn't the best chart. Let me go to a better chart here. Let's see, Binance? Binance have a better chart? Yes, Binance has a better chart. Okay, and I have levels on the chart. So here's the thing. No matter, if you read something, okay, you read an article, a guru, blah, 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 someone puts a video on YouTube, and they're talking about all this fundamental stuff, like, oh, they have this, and the developer has that, and he's an expert at this, and they've solved this problem, and blah, 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 right? If you hear all that stuff, and they're going to replace Ethereum, and here's why. I'm going to show you the top 3 reasons why. Do not pay attention to that stuff. It's hype. Now, if you're an insider, and you know the developers personally, and they're telling you stuff that no one else knows, that's information that has value. But if some fool on YouTube is talking about it and sharing it with the world, that information has no value when it comes to investing. So all that stuff is opinion, okay? And it could be true in the future. It may not be true. The thing is, you can't trade or invest. You can't risk money on it. That's all I'm saying. A lot of it is hope. A lot of it is hype. They're just telling you good stories. Now, let's look at the chart. And what does the chart tell us? Well, okay, so there's been a lot of interest in ADA. Okay, great, right? Nice bullish structure. Nothing wrong with that. It's pulling back a bit. So as Bitcoin's pulling back, this thing's pulling back to a support, similar to DOT. Okay, that's fine, no problem. We're at a support level. There's no reason to buy at the moment. But if you want to look at this from a swing trade perspective, hey, it's not bad. Inside bar develops, pin bar develops around this current level, 35 cent area. It's worth a try. Where can this thing go? 43 cents is one inflection point. Okay, that's a projection based on the previous structure here. You have 57 cents. those are possibilities, okay? Doesn't mean it will get there. It's not a prediction, but those are inflection points where I would be looking to get out of some and distribute risk, not buy more. So let this thing at least develop a buy signal. Let it develop the setup. As far as an investment standpoint, you know, these are not the best levels to invest. I mean, you're still near the top, right? And this pullback, if when this sector, right, when the altcoin sector gets out of favor, because it's just flavor of the week right now, you can see this thing pull back to like 20 cents or lower. And that's when, if you want to take a chance on them as an investor in long term and throw in a couple of $100 and you don't care if it goes to zero, those are the prices to do it. When they're hated, when no one's paying attention, that is when you do it. I cannot emphasize that enough. The thing is, people look at these charts, right? Oh, it's a good looking chart. It must be safe to get in now. No, the time to get in, the best time to get in was when it was hated, when it was not obvious at all, when no one was interested, when no one was talking about it, when there were no good stories about it anywhere. That's when you want to get involved, okay? We see that all the time in stocks. JMIA was a stock like that. So real quick, let me just show you JMIA. For those of you that don't follow stocks, back in like, look at this, back in April, right? Back in April, the April lows, even as recently as August. And then back in October, JMIA was fooling around that $8 area, okay? $8. JMIA is now at $45, okay? No one liked it at $8, but everyone likes it at $45. Why? I wouldn't touch it at these prices. We missed this move right here. But the point is, you want things that are, if you want to be an investor, you have to invest into things that are hated. Another great example, real quick, before we're going to move on here, and I'm going to get to your questions here. I know I ramble. So here, let me just see how I'm doing with time. 21 minutes. Yeah, I'm rambling. Okay, gold. All right, this is perfect example, right? So gold, when gold is up here, and Andrew talks about this all the time, when gold is pushing 2,000, everyone thinks that's the best time to buy gold. Oh, it's safe. Oh, gold's at 2,000. It's going to go to 3,000. I read some article on some gold website. Gold experts said gold's going to go to 5,000, especially since the U.S. government is devaluing the dollar and blah, blah, blah. That makes sense. I'll buy some. Great. Well, gold went to the low, what is that? The December low of 1744. It went from 2,000 to 1744. That's 300 points. That's a lot for gold. And you bought the top, right? And now you're watching this thing, and oh, this thing sucks. I'm getting out. How can gold be going lower? Oh, I read some news. The dollar is making a comeback or something. I don't know. I'm not an economist. Let me bang this thing out. Well, you just bang out the bottom, okay? And then gold goes right back up. So recently, just more recently, right, gold had this nonsensical, irrational pullback, and we sent out 2 swing trades on this, okay? The pin bar over here, and that got stopped out, and the pin bar over here, okay, which we just sent out the other day. And that one's doing well, as you can see. So that is what I'm just showing you here is the same type of behavior. It doesn't matter if it's gold. It doesn't matter if it's an altcoin. It doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin. It's all irrational human behavior. You must get over that part. Okay, most people aren't even aware that their behavior is irrational because they're going on instinct, and they maybe whatever their job is, instinct works well for their job. Okay, relationships with people, all that kind of stuff gives you much more control over certain, like in certain types of jobs, like if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, that type of job, right? Logic plays a very important role, but it's funny that professional sports athletes are often better candidates for traders, and that's because they have to use a different part of their mind. If you think about it, a professional sports athlete can't sit there and be nice to someone, right, and get on their political good side to get ahead. The sports athlete has to perform. So how does a sports athlete get good? Well, you have to practice. You have to do all kinds of things to get better. Competition is fierce. You're always in a competitive mode. Things change real fast, especially on the professional level. So you're always adjusting to new information as a sports athlete, right? Trading is very similar. Okay, so anyway, so those are the main things I wanted to cover. Now, before I go through the chat here, I see a lot of questions, so I appreciate that. Let me run through Bitcoin, because I wanted to run through those altcoins first, okay? Because again, it's important to compare those very popular ones to what Bitcoin is doing now. So here's Bitcoin. And as you can see, it's been pulling back, right? So we had a swing trade that we sent out. Here, I'm going to highlight it. We sent out one over here. And that one may have, let's see, 39.69. That may have stopped out. I have to check the order. I don't have it in front of me. But that was our original swing trade. We sent out another one right here. That one got stopped out. That was an alternate trade. And then I sent one out over here on this pin bar. Okay, yesterday. I sent this one out. But here's the great thing about this one. The high of this candle was 36,440. And members, all those of you that are members know that the buy stop was 36, what did I say that? 36,450. I can't even remember the number I put. 36.5 maybe it was, or 36,550. And you know what? This thing never activated, right? The current candle, you could see, never took out that high. So what does that mean? That means a trade never went into play, which means we just saved ourselves another stop. That is the advantage to using buy stops rather than just saying, oh, look, pin bar, I'm just going to get in because pin bar is just a high probability candle. Okay, that's the thing. We take ourselves out of the equation. Those are the type of trades we send out to our members. So if you follow that carefully, right, you can't jump ahead of that. You have to let the market tap you in and you let the market tap you out. In this situation, is this buy stop still good? Well, yeah, it's still good. Just because we took out the low of the candle doesn't mean that this thing won't reverse quickly and go through above that buy stop. It's still okay, right? That order is still a good order. At some point, we'll cancel it. But right now, we'll leave it open. Here's the thing. As far as Bitcoin analysis goes, like I said, if you go to other websites and blah, 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 everyone's going to be calling them Bitcoin's bearish, Bitcoin bearish. Bitcoin's going to, 25,000 and blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. This range that we're in is not broken. Okay, just because we have an ugly candle doesn't mean anything. This does not mean a thing. This is a range-bound market. Consolidations are tricky. People don't like them, and most people that don't have experience do not know how to navigate these. They're very hard. And I said it earlier, consolidations, they're not easy to trade. There's going to be a lot of false starts. There's going to be a lot of stop outs. That's just the way it is, okay? I'm still going to call the trades if I see them because you don't know which one is going to break out. But our stops protect us, okay? If we're wrong, whatever, or whether it's a buy stop or if it's a stop loss, they protect us. So we're not going to overtrade the range and we're not going to let opinions get in the way. This trend is bullish, there's no question, okay? So bullish trend, we're at the lows of the consolidation. That's bullish. There's nothing bearish about this. Now, if you're a day trader and you're watching a 5-minute chart, sure, you can call this a bearish trend on a 5-minute chart. But remember, on a 5-minute chart, you're only focused on this information right here. All right, we are focused on the entire formation. That's a higher low formation if this support holds. And right now, it's trying to hold. If we get an inside bar tomorrow or a pin bar or something like that in this area above 31,000 or 32,000, this thing is probably going to pop its way back up. All right. So also, if you can count 5 waves in something like this, a consolidation like this, typically that's when the consolidation is usually almost over, right? 5 waves. So that's an Elliott wave idea. So there's wave A, this is B, you have like a little C, you have like a D over here, and this could be wave E right now. That's 5 waves. So this consolidation may be, finishing soon while everyone is getting short. Now, if this thing finds that support and breaks out, remember, this consolidation, it's either a wave 2 or a wave 4. We are in a wave 4 position. This is a minor wave 4. Okay, it's wave 4 to this wave 3 here. This wave, this is a broader wave 3 of 3. This is the 4 of 3, which means we're likely to get 5 of 3. 5 of 3 can take us to 45,000 or higher. So and then once that wave completes, that's probably when we will go into the broad Bitcoin consolidation, which can linger for, a year or something like that. Anyway, so that's Bitcoin. Now, let me go. So I'm going to get to your questions here in a minute. And I see some great questions again. Thank you. Man, I talk too much. I'm trying to get it all in here. All right, we're 30 minutes in. So I want to talk about the stock market real quick because there's a trade that I'm probably going to send out tonight, for tomorrow. Now look at this. This is the NASDAQ 100. It's been just relentlessly strong. Okay, look at that. people, there's been a lot of talk of, 15% correction and blah, blah, blah. Again, that's all, that's fine to be prepared for something like that. But the thing is, you also have to adjust to new market information when it becomes available. This is a breakout. So we had the higher low, and we talked about this in the chat room and stuff, higher low, and we made the higher high. Trend still bullish. Now, in this type of situation, I mean, how much higher can this thing go, right? It's the first thing you may think. And this is great for stocks. That's why we're still taking stock trades and all that kind of stuff, trying to capitalize on this buying momentum and this froth while it's still available. In this situation, when you want to get short something, okay, this is the time to open up something like UVXY calls. Now, if you don't know what UVXY is, it's the, here, UVXY is the, this is the ProShares Ultra VIX short-term ETF. So basically, if the VIX has a spike, which means the S&P has to pull back dramatically, this thing will have a spike. Now, this is a very speculative instrument. It's not an investment grade instrument. The time decay is very extreme on this. So, but the thing is, so this is something that if you think there's a good chance of a steep pullback and you want to buy some VIX, some UVXY options cheap, this is when you do it at the extreme high. Now, can the market continue higher? Yes. What will happen to those VIX options? Well, you're going to take some pain in them, those UVXY options. But the thing is, if the market pulls back dramatically, you're probably not going to get much of a chance to get in, right? So this is why this is the best time to do it while those options are the cheapest. I'm looking at March options, right? It's either March or June options. So, and you're looking at, I mean, I was looking at them yesterday. They're about $1.65. They may be even a little cheaper today. And I'm looking at the $15 calls. So anyway, if I send that out, I'll send that out to our members, and you'll have an opportunity to get into them tomorrow, okay, if I send that out. Wait till I send that out, because I've been talking about the UVXY for a while, ever since this price action over here, okay, and it's a good thing I didn't send it out, because those you would have been losing money on those, okay? That's why I waited. But this is really the time you want to do it, when the market's doing something like this. There's nothing bearish about this, by the way. What we're betting on is that over the next few weeks or perhaps couple of months, the likelihood of a spike in the VIX is high. That's what we're playing. So it's not really a technical thing. It's more of a probability thing. Okay, so I wanted to mention that real quick. Also, a couple of stocks. WWR. I see a bunch of people took this. Look at this. I sent this one out yesterday to our members. Look at that. Okay, this thing's a popper if it pops. So if you're not in it, I mean, don't chase this thing. But if this thing goes, this is a nice one. I'm also liking what Nicolai is doing right now. Inside bar in Nicolai. Look at this. Look at this situation on Nicolai. This thing is setting up for a pop as well. So remember, these are not fundamental ideas. These are technical ideas. So I just want to throw a couple of stocks in there before I get to your stuff over here. All right. So let me get to the chat. Everyone, and again, thank you all for listening. HS, it's good to see you. Tarkus, okay. Gabriel, Jay, wanted to take a look at CLSK, Clean Spark. And I know someone in our chat had a question about VALE. I think it was a VALE. Let me just take a look at VALE real quick. Sometimes they don't get to make it to these things, and they ask in the chat. So let me do VALE first, and then I'll do Clean Spark. All right, so VALE, I mean, look at this thing, right? Definitely strong. No question, bullish trend. Now, how you have a pullback here. What's the current price? Around 17.46. Not bad, right? 17.5. It's a pullback. This could be a good candidate for a breakout, like a swing trade. You have an inside bar right here. So if it takes out the high tomorrow, 17.75, so basically 18, and you're looking at risk of, let's see, basically $17. So you're risking about $1. Perhaps $1.50 if you want to put your stop just a little lower. And if this thing goes for that higher high, basically trying to push toward 20, it's worth giving it a try, risking $1 or $1.50 to try to make $2 or maybe more. I wouldn't sit there and say it's going to go to $30 a share. I just don't make outrageous claims like that. But trying to go to making a higher high and trying to push above 20 is reasonable. 20 is a whole number, so it's likely to act as an inflection point. I haven't done any projections on this, obviously, so there may be some higher projections based on this structure, you know, off of that March low. But reaching 20 or into those low 20s is within reason based on this structure. So I like it. I like VALE as a long candidate. Okay. All right. So, oh, and Gabriel, waves. Sorry, Gabriel, I didn't see that. Let me just take a look at waves real quick, and then I'll get to CleanSpark. So waves USDT. All right. So this is a good example. Again, relative strength with Bitcoin. So we saw Bitcoin pulling back, and this thing's pulling back too. Now, so you're going to see some chart formations here. You have a head and shoulders pattern. When people see that right away, they think it's bearish and blah, 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 but it's really not bearish unless supports are taken out. So, you know, these patterns, often these chart patterns will appear randomly, and people need to understand that. They need to prove themselves. You have a support on this thing at 5.25. So, and you're right now, this thing is in the middle of the range, okay, at 645. It's in the middle of the range. Not a good place to get involved with waves. I wouldn't touch it here, not for a swing trade. I would wait for at least a setup of some kind, and I'd prefer to see that $5, 5.5 area support. I'd rather see price closer to that, especially since there's no reversal candle taking place right now. You could see it tried yesterday with that pin bar. You see the pin bar? But it gave the pin bar back. When you see that, that means it's going lower most likely. Okay, so I would wait for a better level for a swing trade. As far as investment goes, again, if you want to invest in these things, hey, at least you're not buying the high now. But in a situation like this, you have to have your target allocation, and you need to know how much, you know, like again, if you're going to invest $1,000, you split that up into $100 increments, and you say, okay, I'll buy $100 on every pullback, right? So you buy $100 here. If it goes to the next support, you buy $100 there. If it breaks below that and starts to hold a bit, you buy $100 there. And if it keeps going, you hold off until it stabilizes, right? Because your next support would be around 4 in the mid to low 4s, okay? And then when it turns around, perhaps you put on another $100. What that does is that gives you the flexibility to not have all $1,000 at risk at one time. So if you only have, maybe you're only 30% in, right? You only have $300 invested, and this thing really gets hammered because, you know, Bitcoin has a much more dramatic pullback that no one saw coming. Then at least, you know, your $300 gets cut to $150, and the rest of the money that you're going to invest is not in the market. And now you can either wait until things stabilize, or you can invest it in something else. Okay, so that's how I would handle waves right now. Thanks for bringing that one up. But I mean, generally the structure is strong, right? It's this entire consolidation, this range between 5.5 and 8.5, whatever, that's just a range consolidation, which is looks to be a higher low, right? So eventually this thing should break higher if the thing has good merit, right? If buyers really believe in this thing. So again, I don't believe in fundamentals at all on these. So that's how I would handle that one. Okay, CleanSpark, CLSK. So this is an electric vehicle company, EV sector company, just like WWR. Okay, they don't do the same thing, but they're in the same sector. So nice bullish trend. When I saw CleanSpark, I was watching CleanSpark like back in October, and I didn't do anything with it. And I saw this, I was like, oh man, how did I miss that? So here we go. This is why you don't chase. Okay, this is why you don't chase. And when it goes vertical, who do you think gets caught in this? Right, the Robinhood traders. The Robinhood traders who all bought it over here thinking, oh, yeah, I got CleanSpark and it's going to double. Right. You wait a couple of weeks and now it's at, you know, $25. I don't understand. It doubled the wrong way. It halved. Right. Okay. So, yeah, I'm sorry. If you're a Robinhood trader, I'm not making fun of you specifically. But Robinhood traders tend to be reactive and they're uninformed. They represent the herd. So that's who you're getting caught with when you're buying into these vertical moves. Anyway, the point is this. You have this pullback. It's at a much better level. There's no reason to buy at the moment, although you have this island reversal situation where you have this candle all out by itself like that. Okay, that's interesting. And what I also like about it is the level. There should be some support around here. Here, let's take a look. You have this consolidation right around there. So you're sort of in a supportive area, Okay, so price needs to now confirm that. You need to see a pin bar, or in this situation with this type of bearish momentum, I would prefer to wait for like a double bottom develop over the next few days, or failed low, something to show some sort of stability instead of a single candle. Because this momentum, a lot of times you may get like one bullish candle and then the momentum, the bearish momentum continues and you go to the next support. So I would just be careful on that. But it's definitely a good location. The trend is bullish. The location is attractive. It just needs stability and a setup and confirmation. Okay, so I like it. I'll definitely keep an eye on this one because I've been wanting to get into CleanSpark and send this one out. So the next support, by the way, is 13.5. Doesn't mean it will go there, but that's where the support is. So it's a possibility. Okay, that's all the way over here. Just something to keep in mind. Thank you for bringing that one up. Okay, QS. Let's see, QS. Oh yeah, look at that. Same situation, right? Herd mentality stock. So everyone went nuts with it, and then they give it back. Now, here we go. I was just talking about with CleanSpark, stability. This is stability. Okay, so you pulled back to a nice level. There's a nice support there. Why do I say that? Because if you go back to this price action here, it was an old resistance. So it's finding support in a proven area or a historical area. And it's not just a single candle. You have some structure. You have a series of candles and you have a failed low. So technically, this is a much better candidate for a swing trade long compared to CleanSpark right now. So what's the reward risk on something like this? The high of this candle is 53. The low is 48. So you figure 53.25, 53.5 would be your entry. 47.5 is going to be your stop. So you're looking at, what was that, like maybe six points of risk possibly. And potential targets, your first area, I'd be looking for this gap area right here. Gaps tend to be support or resistance areas. In this, it would be a resistance. And that's 78. So if you're buying this thing at basically, what was that high? 51, I'm sorry, I got the numbers wrong. 51.32. So you figure 51.5. So your risk is a little smaller. I said 53. So it's 51.5. And your first resistance is around this in the 70s. And you're risking like $3 or $4. That's great reward risk. So I like this one a lot. QS. Definitely I'm gonna keep an eye on this one. This may be a swing trade I send out too. Thanks for bringing that one up. I like that one a lot. Okay, Tarkus. When you add BTC on predetermined support levels like 27.5 or 25, do you set a buy stop or do you see how it behaves when it gets there? Okay, so good question, Tarkus. The thing is, what kind of trade is it? Is it a swing trade or a position trade? Since you say add, I'm assuming that you're talking about a position trade or inventory. If it's inventory, then no, we don't use this. Wait, you're saying, do you set a buy stop? No, you don't have to be so precise when you're playing with inventory, because all you're looking for is to get in the general area. The idea behind inventory is you're taking bites that are small enough so that if it goes from 27.5 straight to 23, you're not going to care, okay? Because you took a small bite. So, I mean, perhaps you're sitting on a position still that may be a little more painful, but as far as the new position you're putting on, no, you don't have to use a buy stop. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. This is much different than a swing trade, okay? Because again, you're just looking to build into an average price. So as long as you're buying into a low, that's all that matters. It could go lower, it may stop there. You don't have to worry about it, okay? What's protecting you is the size that you're taking. Most people make that mistake. They'll put their full investment in. Oh, I have to invest 5,000. They put all 5,000 in, and then the 5,000, they get caught. 5,000 goes to 3,000 overnight. That's when you're a weak hand and you don't know what to do. Emotions take over. Instead, if you only put $500 in with a 5,000 eventual allocation, now you don't care if your $500 goes to $300 overnight. You're not going to care. You're going to be a strong hand, and you're going to want to buy more. Okay. And then you have the option, if the market really gets hammered, you have the option of not investing the money you have sitting on the sideline and waiting. Okay? So Laura, hi, would you consider Ubique and Mercury, good coins. So what are the tickers on those? I mean, I'm going to type it in because I'm not familiar with the tickers. Let's see. So KMD USDT looks like Komodo. Let's see. This is against Tether on Binance. Now, so your question is good coins looking at history, current trend. So let's look at it from a technical perspective. You know, as far as like good coins and fundamentals, I don't know because I don't know what they do for one. And when it comes to these altcoins, they don't have any fundamentals. Okay, I mean they really all they have are good stories. So until they're regulated and until you can see income statements and balance sheets and the SEC is running the show, you can't believe anything they say. So as far as, or maybe you know the developers personally, that's a different story. I can't argue with that because you're going to know, they're going to tell you things that no one else knows. Now, as far as the structure here, what's the price of this thing? 58 cents. Now, so again, it's a relative strength, right? Let's consider this from relative strength. Bitcoin's pulling back. Bitcoin recently was at its highs, okay? And this thing has not made a new high when Bitcoin, you know, from December to January, Bitcoin pushed the highs. This thing tried, but it's stuck at this resistance. So relatively speaking, not a good candidate, okay? Because if Bitcoin continues lower, I mean, this thing is starting to feel the pain now. If Bitcoin breaks a support, then this thing is likely to break the support over here, which is what, 48 cents or something like that. So I wouldn't touch this thing here. If you want to get involved in something like this, especially from an investment standpoint, let it pull back to a very attractive level. You'll be surprised, you know, at some point it'll get there. And if it doesn't, hey, don't take the risk. It's not worth the risk. Or you just put a small amount in. Remember, most of these are lottery tickets. Lottery tickets means one or two of them may get somewhere at some point, but most of them will not. Okay? Just like the dot-coms 21 years ago. Every dot-com was going to solve every problem in the future. Well, most of those dot-coms are no longer stocks that you can trade. Okay, now, so that was Komodo. Let's take a look at another one you mentioned here. Ubique, UBIQ. Let's take a look at that. Can I see that against Tether? Yeah, let's see. From Bittrex has it. All right, so let's see. This is not even, wow, this is like sub-penny. All right, that's fine. Ubique chain of things. So I guess they're sort of like internet, the IOTA thing, I guess. Internet of Things. This chart's horrible looking. Now, I mean, all I see is trying to go somewhere, and I see a lower high over here. So definitely not a strong looking chart. But here's the thing with these. So you want to talk about a lottery ticket. This is probably a lottery ticket of lottery tickets because no one's paying attention to it. There's no action in this thing at all. This is the kind of thing like HS's brother, you know, bought a bunch of VET when no one was paying attention to it and made a ton of money when the hype machine started, and now all the altcoins, everyone wants to buy the next Bitcoin, right? So this is potentially like one of those. Again, I don't know what they do, and it has nothing to do with what they do. This is just a matter of, hey, it's super cheap. No one's paying attention to it. Maybe at some point the herd will get involved, and it'll go to 30 cents or something. Okay, so that's. But as far as this technical chart goes, horrible. All right, but that's where an opportunity could be lurking. So that would be a good one for like, hey, throw $100 in and forget about it. If it goes, I mean, if it gets any closer to zero, what are you going to care? It's only $100, right? That's how you have to treat that. So thank you for bringing that one up. Let me see what else we got here. Okay, hold on. Mercury. I'm not from these are. See what I like. See, that's what I like about doing these streams. People bring up coins. Some of these coins I've never heard of. And it's good to have, many eyes. So here's Mercury against, let's see, USD. And let's see, oh, what a mess. All right. So this thing, again, it's a sub-penny. And this one's been all over the place. Look, it's tried a couple of times. Looks like it's tried a couple of times to do something. It looks like it was much higher at one time, too. Look at this going back to the price history. Yeah, so this is a junk garbage coin. Obviously, some people got caught in this thing, from much higher prices. I mean, look at this, just going back. Man, how high was this thing? Let's go further. Let's see. Man, okay. Wow. All right. This thing was over $1. This thing was at least $1.30 back in 2018. And now it is sub 1 penny. So again, that one didn't work out for any lottery ticket holders. You have to, if you want to get involved in something like this, again, maybe if you believe in the project, this is something you just throw $100 in or something, and that's it. You forget about it. Charts are not going to really help you in these situations. Just like, the example from HS, his brother knows nothing about charts, yet he's up a ton of money. That's because he just took a chance and he was willing to. I mean, it wasn't like he threw $100 in. I'm not going to tell you the amount that he put in, but probably most people can't afford that amount. But something like this, again, you throw in $100. If that $100 becomes worth $1,000 or $2,000 at some point, that's your home run. If you're trying to get rich and you think, oh, I'm going to buy the next Bitcoin, I'm going to buy it for $100, and hopefully in 5 years it'll be 30,000, just like Bitcoin, you're dreaming. It's not going to happen because it's obvious now to everyone. When everyone knows about it, the party is over. This is just speculative froth. I'm sorry to tell you. I hope, I don't want to pop your balloon or take away your hope. But that's the reality that you need to realize. When the whole world knows about it and you're reading about stuff on blogs and blah, 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 it's on YouTube, and then the opportunity is over. And what's happening is people that are in from lower prices are unloading onto you because now you're willing to take the risk. They were willing to take the real risk. Okay, and now they have a chance to get out and you're going to take it off their hands. That's how this works. So I would not get overly invested in these while they are the flavor of the week. Some people bought at the March lows. That was the best time. And it wasn't obvious. We weren't paying much attention to many of these alts. They were garbage, most of them. Okay, but then Bitcoin started to do its thing and the froth got into the altcoin market. So now, sure, we'll find swing trades. We'll do things with them. But I'm telling you, most likely, you're going to see them. Once they become out of play again, you're not going to like them. Okay, just like cannabis. Cannabis 2 years ago, cannabis was the next Bitcoin. Okay, all these cannabis stocks, blah, blah, blah. Well, like I said, CGC went from $50 to $7 over the 2-year period. That sucks. Okay, what happened to the next Bitcoin? Why didn't CGC go to $100? It went to $7. That is what you're getting involved in with these. Okay, I know people say I'm negative and I'm pessimistic, but I'm just trying to be honest and trying to give you perspective here. I've seen how these things go, especially when there's nothing behind them. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. How am I doing with time? I know I'm talking a lot here. Okay, 52 minutes. Okay, so let me see here. So Laura, I hope I answered all your questions there. Savvy, I know what you think about. Okay, however, what do you think about? Okay, so that's an interesting question. I'm not familiar with that particular. And while I'm answering the question here, I'm going to pull up. Laura wants to know, would ETH follow BTC? Yes. Ethereum does follow BTC. Now, Ethereum's been doing a little bit of it's been acting a little bit more on its own recently. By the way, I wrote an article on Ethereum the other night on this thing right at the top. I wrote it right here. And I said the all-time high was nothing to be excited about. And here's why. Okay, go look at my TradingView article. Anyway, so let me answer one question at a time here. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, let me just say this too, because I forgot to say it. Please make sure you press the like button if you like the video. I only see 3 likes, so maybe, I don't know if people don't like this one, but let me know if you like the video, because that helps me gauge my performance. Also, make sure you register for the channel, so every time I do one of these, or when we stream Talking Markets, you get a email notification from YouTube. Okay, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, now, so let's go back to these questions. So Savi, as far as a fear and greed index, I'm not familiar with that, but that sounds similar to the VIX index, and it's a sentiment-based index, which can be useful. So if there's too much fear in the market, that's often the sign of a bottom when it goes to extreme. And when there's too much greed, that's often a sign of a top. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to turn and say, oh, once the fear and greed index reaches this exact number, that's the top. No, it doesn't work like that. It just shows you that whether you're in an overbought and oversold area, And you want to take precautions based on that information. Basically how you use, the same way you use the VIX. Okay, so I prefer, if I'm going to use anything like that, I prefer a sentiment-based indicator, not some, moving average nonsense that is just based on historical prices that aren't even relevant anymore. I'd rather know on stuff that's measuring the herd. I mean, the VIX measures options, right? Option premiums. So you can get a sense of how the fear and the greed based on how option premiums are inflated or not. And that's a very, very useful, could be a very useful gauge, especially for long-term stuff. Okay, especially in the stock market. Okay, so now Laura, would ETH follow BTC? Yes. BTC, Bitcoin is the leader. So Ethereum, Litecoin, look, so Bitcoin pulled back, Ethereum pulled back. Now, is it any coincidence that Ethereum pulled back off of this failed high area? No. This box, this blue box, is a reversal zone boundary. There was a high probability it was going to reverse. The blue line that you see up there, that was the historical high from, 2018 or whatever it was, and it turned right there. Anyone that was buying this really should have thought twice at these levels, okay? So, and I put a warning out on TradingView saying you better tighten your stops, you better do something because you're at a very vulnerable area. And here we are now at 12.15, okay? So the next support is in this 8s. Anyway, so yeah, to answer your question, yes, it does follow. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so I'm just catching up here. How I understand is how much you can afford to lose, approximately how much % of total savings. Okay, so that's a good question, Savi. Now, that's going to be different for everyone, but here's the thing. So let's just say your total portfolio, let's just say you have $10,000 you want to invest, right? Just a round number, $10,000. In a situation like that, for altcoins and even Bitcoin, remember, these are highly speculative assets. These are not stocks, okay? These are not, you're not buying Intel here. You're not buying Facebook. You're not buying a quality, well-known stock. You're buying a hot idea. That is all you're buying, and you're making the developer rich, okay? That is all you're doing. So I would say a small percentage of your overall portfolio, it's going to be depending on how aggressive you are, but really no more than 10% in my opinion is pretty aggressive. So if you have $10,000 and you're risking more than $1,000 on these things, that's a lot. Because remember, you have to consider that money gone. You have to consider it's gone to zero because most of these will. Now, so if you invest 10% or $1,000, now you distribute that $1,000 across different coins. You buy $100 of this one, you buy $100 of that lottery ticket, you buy this, you buy that, you buy this. When one of them pops, because there's a likelihood that one will pop and it'll pop big, that $100 investment turns into $1,000 or more. You just made the entire risk capital that you allocated for that coin, you just made in one trade, right? That's how they work. So you had 10% of your entire portfolio at risk, okay, $1,000, and one investment makes that money back. Okay, makes that money for you. And then you take that, and now you can start allocating that. That's how you do it. Okay, risk. If you have $10,000 to invest, and that's all you have, and if you lose that money, you're going to be very uncomfortable, or it's going to really mess you up. Then you shouldn't be allocating a large percentage of your investment capital to these. There are much better investment grade instruments out there. There are many stocks that you can buy for the long term that are poised to do very well. They pay you dividends, right? There's so many other things you can do with the a larger portion of that. Like you can take 30 or 40% of your portfolio, or maybe even 50%, and buy high quality stocks. At least if they pull back, they're going to be paying you to hold on to them. You can even take a portion of your portfolio and invest it in options, aggressive options plays, because again, options pay big when they work. You can risk, $100 and make $1,000 off of that very quickly with options if you know what you're doing. Now, again, there's no guarantee, but the point is, and the likelihood of losing the $100 is also very high. So that's why you can't go and plow in with, half of your portfolio into something that, I know this is going to work. I'm going to triple my portfolio. That's gambling. And that a lot of people get themselves into trouble with that. Cannot do that. If you want to, you have to be responsible with risk. Okay, risk first. That's what we always tell our members. Risk first. Okay, so good question. Hey, Blockhead from Norway. Hey, good to see you. You checked VET for 3 days ago. Can you check again? Tell me what you think about the progress. Okay, sure. So let's see, VET USDT. Okay, so VET looks very similar to Ethereum, right? Went for that breakout and it failed. And no surprise there. I mean, Bitcoin's pulling back. It was in the failed high area. No problem. If you're not in it, this is a great time to wait. You know, let's see how this pullback plays out. If you're in it and you're in it for the short term, if you have not locked in some profit yet, you probably should take something off the table, because this is in a failed high area with the entire sector pulling back. You know, although we looked at DOT, we looked at a few other ones, they were pretty resilient considering. But if there is more sell-off, these things may pull back, you know, significantly. So the smart thing to do, or the effective thing to do, is to take a portion off the table if you're an investor. What is that? 10% maybe? 15% of your position? Not a huge portion. You want to stay in because, you know, these things, the trend is bullish. Okay, it's just you're looking at a potential pullback area. These things may go into a consolidation. Often the consolidation will start with a fake out, right? You got a fake out here. So I would be looking for this support next. What is that? 2 cents, something like that. It may not get there, but that's the that would be an ideal area to be putting on more, or to buying back the small portion that you locked in profit on. That would be a good spot. Okay, 2 cents. If it clears below that, then I'd let it stabilize before putting on more. You know, as far as a swing trade, yeah, I'd wait for the same type of level, and I'd wait for the setup and all that stuff. Most of these are not great candidates for swing trades, most of them. You know, but something like DOT or something like Link, if they're like a mover, I'll consider them now. You know, because again, swing trades, you're in for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and you're out. They're not long-term investments. And once all this froth goes away, these coins are going to suck. I'm telling you right now. Okay, I've seen this before, and it's just going to repeat itself. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. All right, I got in around 003. See? Okay, beautiful. So you're in from a great price. Hopefully you've locked some in. And if you've locked some in, and perhaps maybe you want to lock a little bit more in, just to take some off the table while the buyers are there, you know, unload, distribute your risk to them, you'll have a chance to buy that stuff back. The thing is, you know, you want to wait for a good price. If not, wait for at least some sort of price stability. It may not pull back into that 2 cent area. It may find support sooner. Let the market prove itself. But if you get any type of extreme low, that's the time, okay, to buy back whatever you sold. And, you know, then I'd be looking for that next leg higher. Keep in mind, when this space gets out of flavor, a lot of these move, they're just going to give a lot of it back. And someone that can tell you that firsthand is Alice. He's one of our members, longtime member, one of our earliest members. And he said the other day in our chat, he said that he watched, you know, he had a bunch of altcoins. He watched them. He had all this profit, and he said he watched it vaporize. Okay, when everything went out of favor. Same thing's going to happen again. So I'm not trying to scare you into selling everything you got, but just be prepared. And that's why it's wise to take stuff off the table while you have the chance. Okay, it pulls back, you buy it back a bit, but at least you've pulled some money out. And if it starts to, you know, give you a real hard time, you know, you'll have an opportunity to at least keep reducing your risk. Okay, but you want to do that at highs, because you don't know if this thing's going to keep going. If it keeps going, you let it ride. And at some other point, finds another inflection point, gives you a hard time, you distribute some risk. Okay, you want to do that until you're in free and clear. You may actually be in free and clear now. But the point now is to manage your profit effectively, lock in some portions while you can. Okay, and then buy it back when you can. Okay, hey Paul, what do you think of WDC? Takes out the 54 after resistance trend line. Okay, let's take a look. WDC. Is that a stock? Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So let's take a look. First thing I want to look at is a trend. Recent trend is strong, right? It's bullish. So I see here, let's draw some lines on this chart. So since October, it's had this bullish trend, right? You have a nice bullish structure there. That's an old resistance right there. You have another, old resistance, new support. You have another support right here at, what is that, 48, around that 48.5 area. Price bounced off of it. Okay, so nice higher low situation. Okay, so you're in a consolidation right now. I wouldn't buy this thing right now, but this is likely to break out. Now, keep in mind, we just went over the NASDAQ, and the S&P is in a similar situation. If they fail and if they do pull back 15%, which is likely over the next few months, this thing may suffer. I mean, this tends to be more of a market stock, so which means it's usually more correlated with something like the S&P. So that's why I would avoid buying this, at least for a swing trade. I would avoid these prices. I don't like range highs. I'd prefer the range low or a failed low, okay, around that 48 area. You're right now at 53.5. So you're saying if it takes out the 55 resistance, right, so if it takes that out, you may have a breakout in play. But the problem with something like this is, yeah, cool, that's a breakout. If you want to give that a try, that's fine, but it's very risky because if the S&P fails, while this thing's trying to break out, you will be caught in a very vulnerable area. Now, I could be wrong. It may break out and it may follow through. So if you really like that idea, the way to compensate for that risk is to take a smaller position, okay? And now, again, I'm talking about swing trades. Investing-wise, you know, you have to know how much you want to invest in something like this. And again, you're going to start with a small, very small position because you're buying near a range high. And the market is at an overall high. So it's not the best investment location, which means you want to keep your increments very small to control risk. So that's what I would do with something like this, but it is bullish. And where there is a higher low, you're likely to see a higher high. But my question is, how much further can this thing go in the face of a NASDAQ and S&P that are at their highs? You know, they could be at a short-term peak. Okay, I'm not bearish on the S&P or NASDAQ, by the way, but I do have a keen awareness of the risk, and a 15% pullback is just a healthy pullback in a bullish market. Okay, this thing was as high as, what is that? 68. So, I mean, can it get there if you have a cooperative S&P? But like I said, what is that potential? I don't know. It seems to be limited at this point. So I would be careful with that at these prices. Okay, but nice chart though. Thanks for bringing that one up. Okay, Saeed, hey, can you take a look at SNO? Okay, SNO. Is that a, let's see, what is SNO? Is that a coin? Like, can I look that against USD or something, or is that a stock? Let's see. It's not coming up as a coin. Let's see, as a stock. Is that a snowflake? You referring to snowflake? So let's take a look here. Maybe you mean snowflake. Just I'll be watching the chat. Let me know, because sometimes I'll look at the wrong stock for 3 hours. Okay, so let's see here. Snowflake. So I see a support there. So obviously this is a more, okay, stock. Okay, got you. So this is it. Bullish structure here. Nice move. Again, looks like a Robin Hood move. Right, the herd gets caught in this thing, and then they can't understand why they lose half of their investment. Now, great location, okay? You have the pullback, beautiful. Great location, because you have an old resistance, new support. You are dealing with a lower high right here. What is that? 320? Are these in dollars? Wow. Yeah, that's expensive. All right, so you have a lower high. The question is, does it make the lower low? Now, some people will make the mistake and they'll classify this here as a bearish trend. Not on this time frame. It's not a bearish trend. Okay, if you're looking at a smaller time frame, okay. But this is just a corrective move on of a broader bullish trend, which is still in play. So what that means is, if you get a bullish reversal structure around this support, that's a buy signal. Right, that could be developing. Now let's look at the candles a little more closely. So you have this inside bar today. All right, I mean, if this thing takes out, I'd give it this bar over here. What is that? 294. Say you figure 295-ish. If it takes out that price area, 295, that would be your buy signal. Now this thing's a mover, so you're probably gonna have to set yourself a wider stop. What's the low here? The swing low is 280. What's this low over here? 266. I mean, you're probably going to have to put at least a 10 or 15 point stop on something like that. And of course, your targets are going to be at least, your first target should be at least 10 or 15 points if you're going to risk 10 or 15 points. Okay, and if this thing starts to move again, you have some reasonable potential here, right? The first one would be this high here, 325. The next one would be somewhere around here. What is that? 350 area. Those would be some inflection points to consider. So the reward risk makes sense. And you do have a much better location. At least you're not buying the top. You're buying near support. Just get some confirmation. Again, I'm talking about as a swing trade. I like the setup. I like what it's developing. You just don't have any, there's no green candle at the moment, you know, which you don't need a green candle, but it needs to take out a high. So I would look at this third candle back here, that high, 294. What is this one here? 289. Yeah, like that 295 area. Okay, that would be a good place to put a buy stop. Okay, cool. So I hope that answers your question. So I got some more questions here. How am I doing with time? I'm going to wrap this up here momentarily so I don't overdo it. Okay, so SEDG, Saeed, let's take a look. SEDG. I'm guessing that's a stock too. Solar Edge. Oh, one of these solars. Let's see. Another expensive stock. Man, Saeed, you like these expensive stocks. Come on, come up with some $6 stocks, not $300 stocks. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so you know, a stock is a stock. It doesn't matter the price really. I mean, you could buy Amazon if you want to. You just have to adjust with your size. Okay. So here's the thing. What are we looking at here? Trend is bullish. I see higher lows. I see higher highs. That's all good. Now you have this little area here. This is a failed low area right there. So what is that price area? 291. So that this low over here is 282. So the 290s, 280s is a good location. Now see how it's trying to get away from you now? See this where it is right now? It's up $20 today at 317. I wouldn't touch it at these prices. That would be chasing it now because this thing can easily fake out. Okay, right around here. It could fake out in that area and you could get like a head and shoulders pattern. No need to take that type of risk, especially if this thing moves in these wide moves like it's doing. So in this situation, I would wait for structure. Wait for a double bottom. Wait for a higher low of some kind. Let it pull back. If it never pulls back, you don't have to catch everything. You know, there's plenty of other opportunities out there that offer better reward risk. Because the thing is, if you buy this thing right now, chasing it, or you buy the high of this candle tomorrow at basically 320, where would you put your stop? Well, the market structure says that your stop should go somewhere around 280. That's a pretty wide stop. I mean, that's, you know, you're looking at like almost $50, like a $40 stop. That's a lot, okay? And I think it's unnecessary. So why take that risk when you don't have to? There are other candidates out there that are much better in terms of reward risk. On top of that, I mean, can this thing run straight up to, what is this high here? 375? It's possible. But at this point, if you're buying it now, it's like 1-to-1. You're hoping to make what you're risking. That's not the best position to be in, right? You're hoping it goes here, and it may not. So I would hold off until it gives you a better structure, better reward risk. Okay, so thank you for bringing that one up. Gabriel, as an investor looking for BTC to, okay, with what percent should a portfolio have right now? Okay, that's an interesting question. Well, let me think about that for a moment. Looking for BTC, right? Okay. So that's a tough question because again, that's going to be dependent on how aggressive or conservative you are. Aggressive would mean that you're still mostly invested. You know, probably what, like 60 or 70% in or something like just in Bitcoin, which I think is crazy. If you're more conservative, I'd say, you know, 30 or 40%, something like that. I mean, look, we're at Bitcoin highs, okay? Let me go back to Bitcoin. When you're at highs, and I know Andrew may have a different opinion than me, and people may say, highs? No, we're not. We're at lows. No. Generally, we're at high. This is just a little higher low. That's not a low. On the bigger picture, this is nothing, okay? So generally, Bitcoin is at a high area, generally a high. So near highs, you want to be more out than you are in, okay? If this thing starts to push dramatic lows, like 27K, that's when you want to start increasing your position and putting, getting more exposure. Only in those situations. So that's why as it goes higher, you should be reducing risk and distributing and increasing your cash position. That's what you should be doing as it goes higher and higher and higher. Okay. Now, one thing you could do is the higher it goes, the more you distribute. Meaning, when it starts pushing highs, breaks out, you sell 5%. It pushes higher and higher to another inflection point, you sell 10%. It pushes higher and higher and higher, you sell maybe 20%. Something like that. Because the higher it goes, the greater the chance it's going to peak. Okay? So just something to keep in mind there. So you have to determine how aggressive or conservative you want to be. But I would say, like, again, conservative would be around 30 or 40% or something like that. And aggressive would be like you're 80% in. Okay? Or you're talking about cash. So I would say aggressive meaning you only have 20% cash. I had that reversed, right? And then conservative meaning you're like 60 or 70% cash. Okay, something like that. As this thing is at highs, and when it pulls back, you'll have the opportunity to put that money back to work. Okay, again, it's that you have to determine how you want to shape that yourself, and that's also a very good question for Andrew because he's the one that's managing our long-term stuff. So remember, I'm very short-term oriented, and I'm mostly swing trade, day trade type mentality. Okay, so let's see. David, any swing trades for Bitcoin? Okay, so David, that's a good question. I don't have any day trades for this thing. I don't like it. As far as a day trade instrument, it's only good right now, but just generally. But that's not once the froth leaves the market and it's no longer on everyone's radar, day trading is going to suck on this thing. Okay, that's why stocks have. Over time, stocks have been the best day trade instruments because there's always interest. There's always money flowing into stocks. Okay, I mean, you have institutions and they have to buy stocks. So not just speculators. So now, as far as swing trade goes, to answer David's question, I'm interested in the location. Okay, I'm very interested in this location on Bitcoin for a new swing trade long. The thing is, there is no setup at the moment. All we have is this ugly bearish candle. So this momentum may continue. I don't know. I don't have any opinions. People ask me all the time, well, where do you think it's going to go? I have no idea. You know why? I do not get married to opinions. Opinions will get you into trouble. I let the market tell me what it wants to do. So right now, there's nothing here. It just says bearish candle at support. Support of a broader bullish trend. So I know that there's a chance that this thing will turn around here, okay? But I need to see proof. So I want to see a pin bar. I want to see an inside bar. I want to see something like that over the next couple of days. I will issue another swing trade long if I see it. Okay, otherwise I do nothing, okay? If it pushes to 27.5K, I'll be looking for the same type of situation there. But right now, there's nothing to do. Let this thing figure itself out. Okay, again, you're going to have a lot of people with a lot of opinions out there. Opinions mean nothing to the eyes of the market. And when it works out randomly. And, oh, this guy really knows what he's doing. Right, worked out randomly. I mean, you could flip a coin and get the same result. Okay, so good question. Pow, check out, okay, let's see what that is. How am I doing with time here? I just can't, seem to do this in an hour. All right, let's see. Now, Powell brings up some good ones. Okay, Powell a lot of times he'll bring up some good tickers. Let's see. So I like the general structure here. All right, nice. So bullish, right? Structure's bullish. Trend is generally bullish. Got a pin bar developing. This one looks like a wild one. So yeah, I mean, as far as a long goes, okay, I could see it. You take out the high of basically $12. And the low, what is that? 1086. Your risk will be defined there, and this thing has some room to maybe make that higher high. I mean, I like it. It's worth a swing trade anyway. Okay, the reward risk. I think that's a good candidate. So thank you for bringing that one up. Yeah, so I'm sorry I can't spend a lot of time on it. I would just want to answer a couple more questions, and I'm going to wrap this up. Okay, Kodak. So here's one that talk about hype machine, right? Kodak, for the longest time, I didn't even know they were still in business, right? For the longest time, no one paid attention to Kodak. And then one day they came out with this blockchain story or whatever the nonsense was, and it went to this, like in one day. So you better believe Robinhood was all over that one. And since then, and this is what happens when the herd mentality gets into something, you see where it's been since. So the high on this thing was what? Let me just see here. This is a great example, 59.15. So it basically went from $2 to $59 in a couple of days, right? That's what everyone wants. That's the home run everyone thinks they're going to get rich because they think that they're going to get into something that does that. But the thing is, they don't buy it at $2, okay? They buy it when it looks safe, and it looks safe right here. That's when it looks safe. All right, now, as you can see, this thing went back to, what's the low here? $6, right? Over the next few months. There was nothing safe about buying it in the 50s. Nothing. And you better believe all the herd mentality amplifiers, like dentists and everyone will come in, oh, did you see Kodak? Oh, Kodak, Kodak, blah, blah, blah. When your friends who know nothing about the stock market are telling you about Kodak, do not buy Kodak. All right, anyway. So that's a great example of where the herd mentality, how it concludes. Now, so Powell's question is, what about now? This thing's been range bound for a while. You have a higher low situation right there. What is that? Around $8. Okay, so, and you have this little round bottom situation developing here. So look, that's in recent price action, I would consider that bullish. Now remember, Kodak is an old company. I don't know if this thing will have the opportunity to, or the potential to have some kind of crazy run again like that. I don't know. It's not like it's a company with a lot of potential, although they have something going on with blockchain or whatever. That's why there's been some interest in it. So technically, you have a higher low, took out this resistance, so the trend is bullish. But I don't know what to tell you with this one. I mean, I wouldn't buy this thing here. This thing's at $9, whatever, just over 9, like 9.25. I wouldn't buy it here. What's your risk if you do buy it here? $7.85. So look, you're risking about $2 if you buy it here. I'd prefer to wait to at least a pullback of some kind, at least a test of support, at least something like that if you want to keep your risk a little more refined or tight. And then any push from there, if you get a pop, I mean, look, a recent pop, this thing went to basically $13, $14. That was a recent pop in December. So it obviously has some potential where it can pop a few dollars, but I wouldn't expect 50. Okay, that would be a little unreasonable. So look, it's not bad, but just not one of my favorite. There's really not much, like there's no setup here at the moment. You just have the doji. There's no, pin bar at the moment. It's not at a great level. It could be at a better level. You're sort of just kind of starting to go here, and it can go either way. So there are better setups out there. That's what I would say. But I definitely keep it on the radar and watch for a test of those 8s, those high 8 level for a reversal. That would be ideal, or maybe a higher low somewhere along the way. Okay, at least you can control your risk a little bit better. All right, so that's it. I got to cut it off now before I keep talking and talking and talking. So thank you everyone for all your questions. So I'll leave you with this. Again, at Greenbridge, we focus on swing trades, right? By text, by email, portfolio management ideas, which is the same as position trading or investments. We keep the strategies separate, okay? And we share all that stuff with our members by text, by email, and we have our chat room. So if you want to check it out, we have a 7-day free trial. Just, I want to emphasize, we don't have day trades. Now, we've been sending out a lot of trades in recent time because there's been a lot of activity, but sometimes you may not see a swing trade in Bitcoin for a week or two. That's why we have those 6-month and yearly memberships, because to really benefit, as many of our older members can tell you, people like Alice, people like Irina, people like Urzo, people like Fonz, and I mean, there's so many of them. Pow's been, hanging around here a while, so he can tell you some things that he's seen. They've benefited well from the longer term view on things and having the patience to let these trades play out. Okay, something like, look, like a NIO. This was a swing, this NIO, N-I-O, which is the electric vehicle. By the way, that thing is setting up. Talk about a nice little setup. This was a trade of the week. okay, which went to all three targets. This was a free trade that we sent out that you could have gotten and at least paper traded. AMD is another one, right? We sent this one out recently. This one has been a real pain. But look at this, right? So AMD, this is in play. We just sent this out on Wednesday, okay, yesterday, early. The 90 and a quarter was the entry. It's at 91.52 right now. So AMD got stopped out 2 times previously for trades of the week that we sent out. Maybe this one will be the one that goes. The point is, if you want to get a sense of how we do things and how our swing trades work, take the trade of the week, paper trade it, and you get a very good idea. If you want to hang around and see how that goes, come to our free chat room. Ask us questions in there. Pow is in there all the time. We got other people, new people coming in. Ask us questions. We may not answer it right away, but when we get to it, we will. And at least we can help keep you, answer your questions and help give you perspective on things, okay? And also check out the Talking Market Show. We talk about a lot of things on there as well and give you a chance to answer. We give you a chance to ask questions that are more fundamental, because Andrew likes to focus on fundamentals a lot more, especially for a longer term. Fundamentals do play a role. So people think I hate fundamentals. I don't hate them. It's just as a swing trader, they don't help me. But as an investor, it's a different story. You should at least have a sense of quality fundamentals or what those are. Anyway, okay, so Abhishek, hey, about WWR trade, that was sent yesterday. What's the timeline? So Abhishek, so for a swing trade, I don't think it's going to go in a couple of days, but maybe a week or two. I mean, if you just look at the previous move in October, this thing took maybe about a week to have that crazy move. So you figure 2 weeks, something like that. I mean, that's what I'm usually, for these swing trades, that's what I'm looking at. A couple of weeks, typically. All right. So, that's the trade that we sent out. If you're not in this, I wouldn't chase it, but this is one of those aggressive EV crazy movers. Okay. Anyway. All right. So that's it. I'm going to stop talking now. So thank you all for stopping by. Thank you for your great questions. I really appreciate them. Make sure you check out our chat room and everything else and come by and say hello, everyone. All right. So enjoy the rest of your day and thank you for watching.